Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. This is Breaking Down the Four Walls on kchftv.org and Spotify, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. This is Bible study with comedians and faith-based entertainers. And we've got some funny comedians on our show today. We're going to be talking about the Sermon on the Mount and breaking down the greatest sermon ever preached. But before we get started, and without further ado, let's bring out our special guest, comedian Deron Cherry. What's up, Deron?
Hey, what's going on, man? I didn't know this is Bible study with comedians.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. We're going to do some Bible study with comedians, bro. Matter of fact, we're going to have comedian Fefe Frazier joining us in a little bit, and also Christian hip-hop artist Antoine Stewart. They're also going to join us in a little bit, so stand by for that. But we're talking about the Sermon on the Mount and breaking that down. And before we get started, let's just open up with the word of prayer, Deron. And I'll start it out.
Okay.
Okay, Lord, we come to your presence with praise and thanksgiving. We pray that your power, Holy Spirit, will hover above us and within us today as we talk about the Sermon on the Mount. Please give us words of wisdom, Lord, to share with one another and for all those that view the show tonight. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Deron, before we get started, by the way, this show is sponsored by MAGNOS Dentistry out of Belo Horizonte, Brazil. So much props to the good folks in Brazil. Deron, we met at the Living on Laughter Christian Comedy Conference earlier this year. What's been going on with you in comedy since we last spoke?
Well, you mean last year? Cause we just now at the 5th day of this year. So
oh man, I forgot already.
Nah, just trying to stay busy. Competed in the World Series of Comedy again last year. Made it to the Vegas round. Got to perform in Vegas last year. I made it the year before, but my little sister died while I was out there, so I didn't get to finish the contest. So, but I got to do it last year. So, other than that, I just been on my grind, chilling, working, man. I work too much, dude. I work like 14, 15 hours a day.
Oh man, I understand. Until we make it big, we got to do what we got to do, Deron.
Yeah. But I wouldn't even do the 14, 15 if the money wasn't right.
True that. True that. So dude, we've been talking about the Sermon on the Mount, and we've been talking about some of the things that Jesus Christ said, which were earth-shattering, and it changed the world.
Let me make sure I'm up on my Bible study. Now let's talk about the Beatitudes and all that, right?
This is the Beatitudes in Matthew chapter 5.
Okay.
So I was talking with Fefe Frazier and comedian Robert G. Lee, also Deanna Lane. I don't know if you've ever met comedian Deanna Lane, and hip hop artist Antoine Stewart. We're talking about churches during this season, which is kind of an offshoot, a sidebar about Christmas. And we were trying to figure out what is the position of a church that says, hey, look, guys, we want you to, go home stay at home next Sunday. We're not going to have service because we think it's important for you to be at home with your families. So what is your opinion of a church that takes that position? Now, before you answer that, though, I'm going to bring on my man, Christian hip hop artist Antoine Stewart. What's up, Stu?
What's going on, Mo?
Everything is good. This is comedian Deron Cherry.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, bro? All right, what's going on?
All right.
So I'm talking about the subject that we didn't include in last week's show as we celebrated the birth of Christ, the holiday season, Christmas. Some churches said, hey, stay at home. We're going to skip church this Sunday. We're not going to have service. This Sunday, we want you to stay at home and enjoy Christmas with your family. What do you guys think about that? I'll start out with you, Demond. What's your opinion of that position?
I mean, I don't know if you can see my face on camera, but I've never experienced it. I've never heard no pastor say that.
Okay.
I mean, growing up in the top of the South, we all know that Jesus is the reason for the season. So I'm totally shocked by that. I've never heard a pastor tell nobody stay at home.
So I had that happen on two different occasions in Texas. The churches will remain nameless, but I was taken aback. I'm like, really? So you're making all this money? You got this great big church and all this largesse and money and great big parking lot. Church reaches, to the sky. So you got money, but so now you gotten to the point where you've decided, oh no, we're gonna chill this weekend. Stu, your thoughts on that position?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to me as well. Unless if the church was like, look, we about to go do this, we about to go do that in the streets, or we feeding the homeless, so we doing that. So we ain't having service today. But if you want to join us, we'll be such and such places giving out food to the homeless or doing something. I feel like, it's kind of, I don't see that being a reason not to have church, especially with Jesus being the reason for the season. So it's one of those things where it is kind of baffling. And it is one that, if I was going to that church, you may want to ask the pastor, on the side, like, why are we not having church? And I guess depending on that answer, that conversation can go one or two ways. But it's definitely one of those things where it better be Holy Spirit led to why it's not happening. Or, it's one thing if pastor's sick and nobody could step up this week or whatever. I get that. But everybody's healthy and good health and it's canceled because you want to spend time with your family. Which, you got some people who not going to show up and you got people who are going to show up. But as a church, you should be open to whoever's there to, show up and worship and preach the message. So, yeah, that is kind of baffling.
Well, it is baffling, and it happened to me, Demond. That's why I'm bringing it up. I actually, saw this from being said from the pulpit, and then I tried to get to another mega church here in the Austin area, and they said, not only are they skipping this Christmas Sunday or weekend Sunday, but the following Sunday, and I'm like. And I'll say this without saying any names. One of the churches is run by a very prominent gospel recording artist. And I'm thinking, I don't agree with it. Obviously, that's why I'm asking the question, but I like to hear the opinions of others. I don't know everything, but my personal position is we don't take breaks for any reason, so that what I'm saying, church comes first, period.
Right.
Holidays don't come before the service. We worship every Sunday. That's what we do regardless. God comes before everybody, including your family.
Well, let me ask you this question. So when you heard that the topic of offering still come up, was the offering still supposed to be taken?
Oh my goodness. Yes, sir. Offering was definitely had, and you know what, dude? I'll tell you, man, I could really go left on some of the things, but I just wanted to put it out there. But I think there are a lot of mega churches in America or in first world countries. They get so much largesse and money flowing that people get too big for their britches, and they think they can do whatever they want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? They almost start thinking that part of the reason they're successful is because of what they did.
Right.
And no. What you did is because of the power of God. Don't ever forget that. We can never forget that. I think the danger in mega churches in first world countries is we don't know what the struggle is. Go to a place like China where Christians are praying and having service underground, where if they're found, they're going to be separated from their families. They're going to be physically harmed, executed. They're putting their lives on the line for the faith. We're not putting our lives on the line for the faith here in the United States or in first world countries. We're putting our stomachs on the line because we can't go to Golden Corral at 12 noon. You know what I'm saying? That's what we call that's what we call stuff. I got to go to Golden Corral later. No. We've got it so good in this country, again, and first world countries, that we get too big for our britches and we think we can do what we want to do.
Well, let me tell you my opinion on my opinion on mega churches. Now I go to a pretty big church. We got a 500 seater, but I wouldn't really necessarily a mega church. And everybody in my church know everybody. So it's like if you've been there long enough, you're gonna know everybody. But I find that in mega churches, it gives you a place where you can hide. You can just go to service, and you don't have to participate. Your community don't even have to know you even go to church. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so many people there that you can just hide. You don't have to be involved in no ministry. You can just go to church and hide. That's my viewpoint of mega churches.
Yeah, you can just dip in and dip out, and I think that's the case with a lot of people. They can get lost in the masses, and they don't necessarily have to ever be held accountable for anything. Hey, I went to church, I could check the box, and I can go back to the crib and do whatever I want to do. Definitely, you have that type of church attender, but I just think that we're so blessed in America that we don't understand that we are blowing opportunities that God, like Stu said, for example, hey, yeah, if we're not going to church, we're going to be in the streets handing out turkeys, handing out food to the homeless, handing out food to people who are not able to afford dinner, things of that nature. I mean, that is servitude, not that we can just go back to the crib and chill out, put our feet up, and do what we want to do because we can. I mean, that's just lazy Christianity to me. You can do that Sunday night. You can do that Saturday night and Monday, but we serve on Sunday, so let's not change up the game. And I think that's just an example of what's going on in the United States where Christianity is concerned. You look at what happened with this guy Maduro over in Venezuela.
Right.
Okay, the world is changing, bro. Okay, we're at a point now where we think we can go into other countries and kidnap their leaders, and without the approval of Congress. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what are we really doing right now? Hey, where is this all going to lead? Because you can best believe it's not going to be forgotten. It's going to lead to something more. There's going to be a response. This thing, and so what happens is, what do we do when we lose all this freedom, if that should ever happen? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a lot of crazy things going on in our world right now. And I think the Christian just needs to wake up and go, wait a minute, I need to lean into my relationship. But you guys, go ahead, Demond.
Man, I think a lot of stuff is going on now, especially with this current administration. Is that during the first term, so much rhetoric and so much stuff went on, and nobody never stopped it. Nobody never really said anything or for some type of opinion where it had to stop. They just let the rhetoric and everything keep going on. That Americans got accustomed to it. It's just like if for a child, if your mama keep telling you to don't touch the stove, you're gonna burn yourself. You're not gonna realize that until you touch the stove and burn yourself. Nobody never stopped this man from saying or doing whatever he wanted to do. So now he totally really has the power to do what he want to do.
Yeah.
If somebody stepped up and nipped it in the bud, like, hey man, we can't do this, we can't have this way back then. Even some of the people of his own party, if they did that back then.
Yeah,
things might be a little bit different, but nobody never said. And it's almost like Donald Trump had naked pictures on everybody in his party. And if you say anything, or he got something on you, that if you say anything or go against me, then this is what it's gonna be. So
yeah, and honestly, it's just really a diversion from those files on Epstein, because I can tell you right now, something went down, not only with him, there's a lot of other people involved with this stuff, and it's being hidden from the public, but something went down. Those Epstein files right now, there's some incriminating stuff in there and no one wants it to get out. So when you create this stuff, I'll tell you what, let's go kidnap Maduro. They'll forget about this Epstein stuff. And
Right.
so I'm just saying, dude, we as a people, as a Christian people, need to wake up to the fact that things are about to change in the world as we know it. All this good stuff that we have, it doesn't last forever.
Right.
You know, what about your faith? That's what lasts forever, is your faith.
Right.
Lean into that. All the other stuff you can't control.
Well,
God
let me
is
ask
in
you this.
control anyway.
Let me ask you this: you think with everything that's going on in the world, is that meant for us to test our faith,
It may very well be.
or to use our faith more?
I think I would agree with that. Yes, I absolutely believe that. Yes, 100%. You know, so you know that being said, I want to get into our study today. Matthew chapter 5, verses 31 to 42. And I'm going to read it, and then we'll come back and break it down. So starting with verse 31, it says, "It has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, except for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced commits adultery. Again, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old times, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths. But I say unto you, don't swear at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king." Verse 36, "Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black." I'm good in that sense because I got none left. Verse 37, "But let your communication be yea, yea, or nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these is evil. You've heard that it's been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth." Verse 39, "But I say unto you that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall slap thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also." Whoa, heavy. Verse 40, "And if any man will sue thee at the law and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him too." Last verse, verse 42, "Give to him that asks of you, and from him that would borrow of you, do not turn them away." So 11 verses of the greatest sermon ever preached. And let's go back to what it says about marriage, Damon, in verse 31. And God says clearly here that whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, except for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery. How do you view those two verses right there, verse 31 and 32, Devon?
Being that I'm almost 2.5 years married, so I view it as being that it's really my first time hearing it spoken like that is So for what I'm hearing, to make sure I'm clear before I say what I want to say is that a reason to make your wife commit adultery is that what I'm getting out? Is that what I'm getting out of this verse, or is the man committing adultery? But I know adultery flat out is a sin. Is a sin.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just saying this jokingly as a comic, though. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much as committing adultery, but being married is hard, and it's sometimes some days you wake up and you want to get up out this thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the 2.5 years in. Some days I'm ready to get up out this thing, but not because no adultery or fornication and nothing like that. But it's if you willing to put the work in, you gonna have to put the work in for your marriage. It's like that. No matter what situation going on, you got to put it in. I'm learning this every day. You know,
Yeah.
me and my wife had a discussion the other night about, some things that I be doing to make her mad. I didn't know, just because I'm silly, as a comedian, I'm thinking everything's silly, but really, I'm making her mad and figuring, and I'm wondering why she's so distant sometimes. But and it was actually a good talk. So I think as long as you communicate, and I'm kind of lost on the verse because what I was hearing when I was reading, I was trying to find it, but my Bible app is for some reason ain't going. What did you say the text was again in Matthew? What?
Matthew chapter 5, verses 31 and 32.
31 and 32. All right. I'm trying to look. I need to read it for myself so I can really answer your question. Because I heard you reading it. Then my laptop is over here tripping. And I don't know why I can't find this on my app. My app would not let me do it. Would not let me find a verse. No type of verse for whatever reason. But read it back to me one more time.
So it reads again, it has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. However, Jesus says in verse 32, but I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, except for the cause of fornication, which means cheating,
right,
causeth her to commit adultery, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery. So pretty
much that verse, both verses saying it's the whole thing about once you get married, you shouldn't be divorced. So right, so is that pretty much what this?
That's what it's saying. Right. What Jesus is saying, except for fornication, meaning unless your wife or your husband cheats on you, if they step out on you, that's your quote unquote out of the marriage.
Right.
Like you don't have to stay under those circumstances. However, he still wants you to. But if you decide, you know what, I can't deal with that, he's giving you a pass there.
Sitting there. That's when now you better explain it to me because I never knew. I was always under the assumption, even as growing up in church, that once you marry, you're there to death do you part. So anything that would happen, you would work it out. But I see now this is my first time really being hearing you explain, but you got it out. So
that's exactly what that verse means. Verse 32. Okay. He's saying except, and listen very carefully. He says except, verse 32, for the cause of fornication.
Right.
He says again, I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, except for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery.
Right.
Right.
So let me ask you this question then. So with divorce being a big major, people get divorced for multiple reasons. But with divorce, is that like a so since we're putting the fornication in their part, is divorce like a ultimate sin? Where is that a sin that they can stop you from getting into heaven because you get divorced? But say you got divorced just because of irreconcilable differences.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with fornication or cheating or anything. So is that divorce not acceptable?
Well, I believe that Christ is saying that at the end of the day, no divorce is acceptable.
Right.
But he is saying at the end of the day, conditionally, if, for example, you're put away, let's say the spouse puts you away for whatever the reason may be, that's beyond your control. Like you can't make somebody stay with you.
Right.
Then the other part is, what if that person cheats on you and you don't want to stay? Well, he's giving you that opening to exit. Like, I don't want to deal with this and I'm out. But at the end of the day, go back to the book of Hosea, because at the end of the day, he wants you to stay together.
Right.
And in the book of Hosea, he told the prophet to marry a prostitute. And he married the prostitute, and then the woman continued to prostitute herself during their marriage, and he left. And God said, it's in the book of Hosea. You can read it in its entirety. But then God said to him, hey, Hosea, where's your wife? And Hosea said, well, Lord, she's down the street prostituting. And God said, well, go get her. Okay. That's your wife. So God is letting us know that that's his relationship with us, because we want to get on TikTok. We want to go home instead of going to church on Sunday. We just want to go chill at the crib, or we give in to other demonic forces that we say, oh, it's just something I like. And we end up putting it before God. So that means that's an idol.
Right.
And what God's like, still loves us. He still intends to marry the bride of Christ. And he sent his son to die for us because we can't act right, Demont.
Right.
So God is using that as an example. It's like, well, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what your wife does. It really doesn't matter what your husband does. I expect y'all to stay together for real. Right. Okay, that's what God is saying. Okay, but he's not going to send you to hell over it. That's all. Also the bigger point is that Christ has already died for our sins. He's not sending you to hell. He's telling you what he expects you to do, what he wants you to do.
Right.
And I think it's very important to understand that context. I mean, am I telling women out there that are being physically battered and abused by their husband that you've got to stay? No. And God's not saying that either. You know, he's telling you that what he expects you to do. But we also have to use common sense as well, because you can't make people do right, Demont.
Right.
We can't make anybody do right.
Right.
They have to decide that they're going to do that. And after you've gone through everything you can go through, then and nothing is working. I mean, then you just have to make a decision that you think is best for you in order for you to get through the day and to get through your life. But I just wanted to get your viewpoint on those two verses. They're very, very strong verses.
Yeah, I've never really, heard it broke down like that. I've always, was under the impression, under the assumption that till death do you part, no matter what. But I also understand that people get divorced for whatever many reasons. But to hear it in that context was a little different.
It's a little different, and it's really the because of the sacrifice that Jesus Christ made on the cross for us.
Right.
People think, oh, he died for me. Now I can go out and wild out and smoke all this weed and do it. No, that's not. That's not what that means. What that means is that you're saved, and he's going to help you do right. But you gotta want to do right first before he can help you. He's not going to make you do anything that you don't want to do, but he's there if you want to use his availability and take advantage of his help. He surely will help you. One of the biggest issues also when you talk about the breakup of marriages is the loss of a father in the home. We have a comedian cohort, Deron Cherry. Now he's a secular comic, but I want to play a response he gave to Kirk Franklin, who has a series called Den of Kings, where he interviews different celebrities.
And they be having dinner, right? They be having dinner, right?
What's that?
No, they be having dinner when they do the
yeah, they're kind of. I think they're having dinner. I'm not exactly sure. They're just kind of chilling and conversing, but I think they are having dinner. But I'm gonna play back what Deron Cherry said about his life.
Have like daughters and stuff, and if you can't really be like emotional with your daughter or your kids or something like that, then I think you're missing out.
Yes.
And you're missing out on teaching them how to be. You know what I mean? I didn't have like no father or nothing like that, so my mother just raised me. So I cried all the time, and if she cried, I cried. Like period. You know what I mean? So I grew up with a lot of emotion. You know what I mean? It wasn't no like father to tell me not to do this, man up. I ain't never been told man up or none of that. You know what I mean? My mother just she was a father and a mother.
Wow.
You know what I mean? She was both, whatever, as best as she could be. You know what I mean? So,
Do you think that being able to tap into that type of emotion for you as a man, do you think it helped you?
yeah, I think so, because I wouldn't probably be doing what I'm doing now.
You know, that was interesting what Deron said. I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. Deron Cole is a very funny comedian, but Deron Cole says some stuff that's like way, way, way out of pocket. Like, not that it isn't funny, but yo, that was way out of pocket. But what I think is interesting in what Deron, and I'm not judging Deron because I think he's very funny. But also, did you catch what he said at the end? If my father was at home, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you can tell Deron is like he missed something, and he kind of knows within himself that he's tripping. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. Have you ever seen Deron Cole perform?
I met him a few years ago.
Oh wow! Where'd you meet him?
Here in Columbus at the Funny Bone.
Okay.
Yeah. But as far as like we didn't have like no deep in-depth conversation. It was just a meeting,
Yeah.
I'm comedian Deron Cherry, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of feel him to some point, because I was kind of raised that same way too. My dad. I'm one of the people like Terrell Owens. My dad lived maybe about 3 blocks from me.
Yeah.
And never really, what I'm saying, was never really involved in my life. But I've always known who my dad was. I can always go to his house or whatever. I pretty much learned everything mainly on my own. But it was the 80s was a different time for kids. Now we was a little bit different in the 80s growing up. We learned a lot real fast.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like and everybody that hung with, we only had one family on the street where the mom and dad was together, and believe it or not, they was worse kids than we were.
Yeah. How about that?
I literally remember them cussing their mom and daddy out. They never got whoopings. The other 3 of us on our street whose dads wasn't around. Our mama whooped us all the time, and my mama was a public whooper. She raised the windows up.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And with me let everybody know I was getting a whooping. But
100%.
And I find it kind of weird that for their mother and father to be together, and I think their mother just died a couple years ago, and they still was together all this time. But they was the worst kids on the street, and they had a whole family.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes the single mother does a better job than a mom and dad.
Right.
Because we got a lot of young people in our society today that aren't being raised the way they need to be raised. Like, the father's not being a real man.
Right.
Right.
And that's how I say I kind of feel what Deron said, because the things that I learned, I don't know if I don't know if I would have learned them the same way if my dad had been around, or had been in the house.
Right. So the bottom line is, you need a responsible dad and you need a responsible mother.
Right.
Both of them need to be solid in order for you to raise a child.
Right.
And because one day they're going to be a grown adult, man or woman. And whatever happens at the end of the day is going to be really on you raising them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, did you do your job? Because, did you really do your job? And, like you just said, no spankings, no accountability for anything that you've done. Let the child find his way. No, you've got to discipline your children.
Right.
And when I was growing up back in the day, man, it was nothing. If you saw a car pulled over to the side of the road and they were taking care of business with their child, nobody called the police and said, hey, we just saw this person back there whipping their kid. Matter of fact, they probably applauded as they drove by.
Right. Well, I've gotten whippings from people in the neighborhood telling my mama stuff I did,
Yeah. And then look, the neighbor could spank you. They told your parents, and you got another spanking.
Right.
So, that kind of stuff virtually no longer exists. Okay. But looking at Deron Cole as a comedian, a lot of his comedy, you can tell, is probably born out of hurt. But
Right.
I love the fact that he said what he said at the end. He said, "Yeah, if I had a dad, get back to what you said, a responsible dad. It's like you can't just be there.
Right.
You got a job to do." Hey, he probably wouldn't be doing what he's doing right now. I mean, based on what he just said, I think Deon Cole is a very funny guy. But I love what Kirk Franklin is doing. Snoop Dogg is now announced himself as a born again Christian.
Right.
He's like.
But then Denzel just get baptized and all that too.
Denzel got baptized last year. I think at some point in the beginning of last year, he got baptized. And so you're seeing a lot of prominent celebrities kind of get themselves. Vince Vaughn apparently has gotten himself right with the Lord. But I love what Kirk Franklin is doing by having these interviews with people. A lot of people criticize Kirk Franklin, and they don't think he's a real Christian. And he's too fleshy and this, that, and the other. Which I really, I don't understand. I've never agreed with that. What's your opinion of Kirk Franklin?
Oh man, I've seen. I think one of the best interviews I ever heard with Kirk Franklin was maybe August, September. He was on Sway. I listen to Sway in the morning every morning.
Yeah,
on Sirius XM.
Yes.
And the interview he did with Sway was probably one of the best. And one thing I learned about out of that interview was Kurt said he's pretty much been in counseling counseling or whatever pretty much his whole life because of his situation. So
Yeah.
So he said he's been in counseling for over 30 years to want to see a counselor. I'm like, oh wow.
And that's one of the things I've always loved about Kirk Franklin is his honesty. You listen to his music, man, it's just raw. You know what I mean? And we all, if we're honest with ourselves, can relate to Kirk.
Right.
It's like we all going through stuff, but Christ died, man, for us. He covered us, man. That's the beauty of it. And none of us are perfect, or he wouldn't have had to die.
Right.
But he definitely had to. I want to keep going here and pick it up at verse 33, where Christ says, again, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old times, that you shall not forswear yourself, but you shall perform unto the Lord thine oaths, which he's saying, just don't go say, I swear to God, I swear this, I swear that. Verse 34, I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Neither shalt thou swear by the head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. Like I said before, I got that part covered because I don't have any hair. I'll do. Anyway.
I don't think people swear no more. Everything there is on God.
Oh yeah. Hey, Damon. OMG. Everything's OMG. So yeah, but look, yeah.
people get ready to kick your butt on God, son. On God, son.
Yeah. That and hey, Damon. Yeah, and that too. So let me ask you this, Damon. Do you ever make promises to God, and do you look at it like it's swearing? Like, God, I promise you this. I promise you I won't do this, or anything like that. Do you ever do that?
Nah, I don't know. I live by this motto. This is my motto, and I mean it's pretty simple. Everybody, I know that God ain't gonna put nothing on me that I can bear it. If I can bear it, I can go through it. So that's pretty much how I live my life. So I think some of the things that I don't have in life because I haven't asked God for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, in my prayer life, I'm pretty much just I'm thankful for everything, but I've never really said, God, will you please bless me with this? I'm just thankful for the blessings that I have. Maybe I don't have what like they say, that I have not because I ask not. I've never really been like, God, I need this. I need this. Will you do this for me? But I have said things that I wanted, but I've never really said I was going to do something and don't do it because I know me. I know it. I know if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it regardless. So what's the point in saying that,
What's the
Yeah,
point in making a promise you don't intend to keep?
right. So yeah, I've never really been like, well, God, I'm gonna do this for you. I've never really did that, to be honest.
Well, and let me just add right now, I just want to remind everybody that this show is being sponsored by Magnos Dentistry out of Belo Horizonte, Brazil. It's a combination of science, precision, and art. From diagnosis to treatment execution, they have treated over 25,000 patients throughout their journey using the best materials available on the national and international market with the care that each case demands. They have a spacious and welcoming environment with modern equipment and a team prepared to assist you. Get to know them a little better. Magnos Dentistry, born from a dream, a family with more than 15 dentists and over 35 years of tradition in dentistry, to a specialized team ready to assist you. And as I say that, dude, you know what's really interesting? I mean, healthcare in America, dude, is completely out of control. There are a lot of Americans out there with good paying jobs that don't have health care because it's too
Right,
expensive, you
right.
know, and people are traveling abroad for cheaper health care costs. And so Magnos Dentistry, ladies and gentlemen, at your service. If you need to facilitate a way there to get some treatment, contact Maurice Brown Comedy Hour at gmail.com. We're talking about the Sermon on the Mount with comedian Deron Cherry on breaking down the four walls, which can be seen on kchftv.org every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Mountain Time. And we're breaking down the Sermon on the Mount, and we're talking about some things that we all struggle with. And I'm going to pick it up in verse 37, where it says, "But let your communication be yes or no. For whatsoever is more than that comes of evil." To your point about you don't even waste your time saying, "Well, God, I promise this, I promise that," because it's evil. Either you're going to say yes or you're going to say no and keep, or either you're going to obey or you're not going to obey and keep it moving. One thing that Jesus can't stand is somebody that's on the fence. He said, "I will vomit you out of my mouth if you're lukewarm." But verse 38, it says, "You've heard that it's been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you that you should not resist evil. But whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man will sue thee and take away your coat, let him have your cloak as well. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him too. Give to him that asks of you, and from him that would borrow of you, don't turn that person away." I want to ask you this in regards to those verses I just read. How are you, Deron, with allowing people to mistreat you or misspeak to you? How do you respond to those things?
Well, one thing is I don't take disrespect, but I'm not gonna respond to you disrespectfully because you were disrespectful to me. I guess I know how to maneuver my way, and then okay, you done showed yourself to me, so this is how I got to treat you, or this is how our relationship has to go further from here. So I've lost a lot of, I ain't gonna say lost, but a lot of people that I don't hang around with, I'm cool with no more, just because of changes I made in my life. So and I know going back and hanging out with those folks and this and that probably bring me right back down saying to the same level that I was on when I used to do some of the things that I used to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely learned how to okay, this person, this thing, this situation is not for me. So let me just maneuver over this way. It ain't that we ain't got to be cool. We ain't never got to be cool no more. We just not cool on this level no more. So
Okay.
I've learned over the years how to matriculate my way through that.
I tell you what, those are some very, very hard words to obey, because
Right.
Christ is saying, I need for you to let that go. I know they were wrong, but I need for you to let that go. I know
Yeah,
yeah.
I have no ill will against nobody. I've forgiven my dad, but he don't know that I've forgiven him. So I don't know if that's something that maybe one day Cause it's like now we cool. When I go to Kentucky, I gotta go see my dad now. Gotta go hang out with him. But it wasn't like we had a conversation or anything. It just naturally happened.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
You've chosen to forgive and forget.
right.
Yeah. And that's a great example. I mean, you look at what he says here in verse 40, where he says, if a man sues you and takes away your coat, and he's saying, and let him have your cloak as well. In verse 42, give to him that ask of you, and from him that would borrow, of you, turn not away. So if somebody asks you for some money, do you like hold them to? Do you make it clear that you want it back, or you just let them have the money?
Another thing about that, my grandfather always said that don't give nobody nothing that you can't expect to lose. So if I'm giving you $500 and I got to be able to accept it, one day I might be out of $500. So
Yeah.
I've learned.
I like that. That's good. That's real good.
Don't get nothing, no more than you can't stand yourself. So I mean, I've had things where I'm the type of I've done all type of things with people. People have never came back to me in any type of way. It's even with comedy shows. With comedians, I don't put all type of money in comedians' pockets, but they do.
Yeah.
I sit back on Facebook and watch them doing all these shows and all this, and nobody never called my phone and say, "Hey, let me put them on the show. Let me, you know what I'm saying?" But I'm at the age now, and I've been doing comedy so long that I'm so past that. It's comical to me now. But that's one thing that I've seen over the years. Like, man, dude, I don't put all kind of money in your pocket. You ain't never even called me. You never even called me to come to your open mic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, see, and you know what? That's a real good point that you make there. Can we let stuff like that slide professionally? If we're repping the kingdom, if we're representing Christ, it all depends on how you respond to things.
Right.
And people know that, okay, Deron Cherry is a guy that I didn't give him back what he deserved. He's always hooking me up, and they try to forget it and go on about their business like it doesn't mean anything. But one of these days is going to come back to them full circle, and they're going to remember you favorably. Deron, he never tried to get back at me for anything. The guy's always been even and whatnot. And those things make a difference. People are watching you, Deron. They're watching me. We don't know that. There's somebody in the corner that's watching you every day, trying to figure out if this Jesus thing you talk about is real.
Right, you're right about that.
And you know what I mean? Every day, people are watching us every day, man. And it's important to remember. Wait a minute, I need to stay on a road here that I'm on with Christ. I don't want to do it right now, but that's what he called me to do. And I like what your dad said, or I think you said your grandfather.
Yeah, my granddad, yes.
Yeah, said about, if you give someone money, when you make the decision that you can afford for them not to give it back.
Right.
Because chances are, dude, a lot of times people are not going to pay you back.
Right.
Right. And if that's the only reason you loaned it so you can get it back, you're going to probably lose.
Right.
And you're going to allow a friendship to be broken.
And another thing, I don't put nothing past nobody.
Yeah.
Whether they going to do it or not going to do it. So that's pretty. Like I tell my wife all the time. She like you don't get mad about nothing. I mean, it ain't about me not getting mad. It's just I done learned over all these years how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Me getting mad ain't gonna make if you owe me $100, I'm gonna give you a prime example. This just happened. Okay. I say when did we do Atlantic City? Atlantic City was, I guess it was late June, early August.
Okay.
So one of the comedians he called me from the casino.
Okay.
So I already knew where this was going.
Right.
Right. So he was like I gave you he needed to borrow $100. So in my head I'm already like, all right, he done lost his money in the casino. He calling me from the casino.
Yeah.
So I cashed apped him to him.
Okay.
But I think where I made a mistake at for where he asked me for was we was talking about finances earlier, like before the show,
Okay.
and I was telling him, we was on a conversation about having a job and doing comedy. I was like, man, I make more money on my job than I probably ever make doing comedy unless I just quit and did comedy full time.
Yeah.
And even if I quit doing comedy full time, and who's to say I'm gonna make what I make on my job? So,
Right.
and then I think I mistakenly told him that I was in the 6-figure range.
Uh-oh.
So I guess that opened up the door for him to like call me from the casino needing $100. And I still to this day haven't got my $100 back, but I knew from that situation already going on. You calling me from a casino, you done lost your money, show money and all that. So I gave him $100, and I still haven't to this day haven't got my $100. And I didn't even think about that till we just having this conversation.
Yeah.
This conversation right now. And then I have no ill will against him. That if I seen him again, we definitely cool. We can talk, we can hang out, whatever. But you keep the money part is gone. You killed that.
But you know what you did? You did exactly what verse 42 said. Give to him that asketh thee, and you didn't say, are you at the casino? What you need it for? No, you just gave him money. And it says, from him that would borrow of you, don't turn him away. So, I mean, you did that. You did exactly what Christ would expect all of us to do in a situation like that. If someone asks you for money for whatever the reason may be, if you have it, give it.
Yeah.
And we get caught up in whether or not we're going to get our money back, or I don't have time for you because I don't know. I don't like the reason you ask me for this money. Short of the person going out there and doing a drug deal. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm just saying anything within reason, like the person's asking you for help, just help them, man. So God bless you, Demond, for doing that and honoring the word of God. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Maurice Brown Show. This is Breaking Down the Four Walls with comedian Deron Cherry. And it's brought to you by MAGNOS Dentistry out of Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Want to let everybody know that I did a film last year called Unknown Kingdom that got 4 nominations, one of which was a win in the Philippines about 2 weeks ago.
Is that the one you sent me that I watched? Or was this another one?
Yes.
Okay, congratulations, man.
Yes, and I got another nomination in Houston in February, so I'm going to find out if I can get one more win. In the meantime, I have shot another film. This is a short film. Both of these are short films.
Right.
But this film I shot this summer in Austin, Texas, and we just finished post-production called Chance. And it's kind of like a comedy. It's a drama and also a comedy too. It's a buddy cop film, but it's got a serious subject matter, and Christ is definitely involved. And I just submitted that to a festival a few days ago, and I got a lot more festivals I'm going to send it out to. And I'm also going to have a premiere for the film later on this month. So I'll give everybody more information about that. And I'm also
congratulations, man. Much love.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it, Demond. And I'm also working on a comedy tour called Comedy in the Kingdom. That's another project that God has given me that's going to take some more planning, but I'm working on that. Now, in the meantime, Demond, one more time, let everyone know how they can see you in your next performance.
Man, you can always follow me on all the social media. Demond, DEMOND, or as Akintunde like to call me Demon D. So that's how you spell my name. Just Demon at the D, M Cherry on everything. That's my just type it in, Google me, or www.demondmcherry.com.
I had Ak on the show earlier last year. I'm still trying to get over the fact that this is next year already. But Ak has a thing called Joke Farm that he's got going. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I was. I did a round for his Search for the One in Indianapolis. When he did a round in Indianapolis. I was in that round.
When was this?
Maybe September.
Okay.
Maybe towards the end of September.
Okay.
For his Search for the One contest he was having.
Yes. Akintunde out of South Carolina. And I think he has a Joke Farm is now, I think it's a channel or a platform.
Yeah, he didn't turn it into a. Well, I think he got like he got something. when we were sitting there talking, I think he has some type of network that he's publishing, that he's putting it through. So it's like on like a minor, well, everything's major, but like a smaller TV station and couple other places. So yeah, I think it's a paid platform he got going on now. So
Yeah, man, you gotta, ladies and gentlemen, just follow comedian Akintunde if you want to get some more information on that. Also, good comedy friend, and I'm sure he's a good comedy buddy of yours as well. Marcus D. Wiley is doing a comedy tour in 2026. Very funny guy. I think
he blew up about putting this thing on Amazon. Well, I mean, he was already popular, but yeah, when he put that new one on Amazon, it took off.
well that was the one with Al Sadiq, right?
Alice Sadiq, yeah, helped him get it together.
Yeah. He was touring with Ali Sadiq,
Right.
and that really,
Yeah, it's skyrocketed.
get a lot more exposure. But Marcus D. Wiley is hilarious, man. That dude's been funny for a long time, man. And so he's got a tour that he's kicking off. I don't think he has any Texas dates in January, and I know he's going to put some more dates out later. But anyway, check him out. Mike Goodwin, also another great comedian that you can catch. He's out south. I think he's in South Carolina down there with Ak, I want to say. But he's got a great dry bar special out. I think Mike is on tour. A-Train down in Florida. Have you ever met A-Train?
Yeah, A-Train. He came to the conference when we was in Maryland.
So A-Train, yeah, in Maryland. He came to that one. A-Train, K-Sound Wilson, who's out in California right now. I don't know if you've spoken.
He was right. Wasn't he writing on the show? Kassan?
He was a writer on the Problem with Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
He had a talk show, and he was on his writing staff. I think he's the only Christian comedian on his writing staff.
Oh, wow.
And, so Kason has taken off, and really excited about what's going on with those guys and their careers. And got to have them on the show. I want to get them involved with, as well as yourself, with Comedy in the Kingdom, but God's going to give that to me as I get through this season in 2026. You got to put a lot of stuff on my plate, dude. I'm pretty excited about it, but we're going to stay in touch because I wanted to talk to you more about that. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you've been watching the Maurice Brown Show. This is Break Down the Four Walls. We've been talking about the Sermon on the Mount. We'll continue this conversation next week. We missed Fefe Frazier. She was supposed to be on. We'll get Fefe on the next show.
And can I ask you a question before we get out of here?
Yes, sir.
And this doesn't have to do with the Sermon on the Mount, but I've been having this conversation.
What's up, Bone?
What's going on, Bone? Bone, if you listen, chime in on this question that I'm about to ask Mr. Brown here. This is a question I've been asking pastors, and I just like to hear different people's point of view on it, because it's something that it's just been in my head for long, and I like to hear different opinions on it.
Okay.
So since we're breaking down the walls, this has to deal with the wall of death.
Okay.
Now, when a person dies, when a person is born and a person dies, they say that God has already determined, how your life is going to be and this and that. So if a person, if a person dies of cancer, if a person gets shot, if a person lived their whole life and then just one day just go in the grocery store, just like how we got all these school shootings and all this going on. When they was born, was it already determined that that's how they was going to die?
Well, you know what? I would say to you that God knows everything. God doesn't plan your death.
Right.
But God knows your death. And you had, as they say, we all have an appointment with death. But so yeah, God already knows what's going to happen. But did God plan for it to happen that way? I don't know that I believe that God planned your life out.
Right.
He created you, and then you plan your own life out. So you plan your own demise, you plan your own, entrance into hell or heaven. Because it's all up. He gives us free spirit, free will.
Right. But if you plan you planned your life out to go to school, but then the school shooting happens. I mean, was it already determined? Was it already predetermined in the universe that this is how your demise with all these other people is going to be? Just like when people die in a plane crash, Is it determined with, you know what I'm saying? Is it determined that everybody on this plane was gonna die on this day? And I understand the free will, because sometimes you put yourself in that situation. But here goes, just because I'm just asking this question, I just like to hear other people's opinion about it. Even with the predetermination, is it predetermined that you was gonna think that way, or go that route that you went?
Well, and Bone says, he says God has options and gives you options.
Right.
Sometimes you go somewhere God said don't go.
But was
You know
it
what I mean?
predetermined? But was it predetermined that you was gonna go?
Again, for my thought process on it, Damon, I believe that what happens to us is based on the decisions that we make.
Right.
I don't think God plans it out like that. I just don't believe that. I just think that, we have free will. And I like what Bone said there about God gives you options. And sometimes we go where God said don't go. Something inside of you told you
Right.
not to go there. And you did it anyway. And Bone says that's why we're supposed to listen when God says don't go to her house. And then Bone is saying that part, Maurice. So I just think a lot of times, dude, we just get there's a Holy Spirit check in that we get before we do something, and either
Right.
we listen or we don't.
It's fair.
I mean,
I mean,
that's just my feeling on it. I can't say that's the gospel truth, but I
I mean,
believe.
I've heard different responses, because I've been asked. I've asked some white pastors, had some. Then there's one pastor who was on the show, and I asked him, and he pretty much kind of said the same thing you said. But it's still just my thought pattern. I just got this thing about it. The whole predetermined, that it's like how does a child get childhood cancer? Some kids get it and some kids don't. You know what I'm saying? I just think kind of deep like it. It's just like a deep thought that I have sometimes. And
Well,
was
it's a good thought, and it's a good question, and that's the fun of the discussion, as Bone says, because we don't know. We're
right,
just talking right now. What we're doing is we're running our mouth.
right.
Okay, but what we don't know, God's got the answers, man. So we just have to trust Him.
There it is.
And with that being said, we're gonna dip out. Hey, Bone, thanks for hanging out, man. Love you,
Yes,
dog.
sir. Love you, Bone.
And look, man.
I see your progress, baby. I see your progress going on.
Yes. And Bone, you're correct. You can only have this convo with certain people, because some people got to be right all the time, and you
Right.
can't have a conversation. But yeah, Bone, great point. But yeah, Bone Hampton, Bone, keep doing your thing, bro. Bone is another person I forgot. Bone's coming, very funny comedian that's going to find his way back, all the way back, in the name of Jesus Christ. I mentioned all the other ones, and Bone Hampton also included with the great comedians that we have out here representing Christ. Just keep me in prayer for comedy in the kingdom. It's a great project it's a huge project that God has given me, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So we're going to step out. Damon, thank you once again, brother. For
No
being
problem,
on the show.
man. No problem.
Got to have you on another show. In the meantime, everybody stay blessed, and may the peace of Jesus Christ continue to be with you and your families, everybody. God